What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of What the Game Means to Me. I'm, of course, one half of the pod, Jelani Brown. I'm my co-host with me again today. That is Bill. How you doing, man?
What's good, man? Another episode. First episode of the football season, pretty much. I know we took a little break, but I'm ready to get to it, and we got a lot to talk about because week one was crazy. And it was bad for both our teams, so we got a lot to say.
Definitely got a lot to say. Like I said, we're going to try to skim over the bad, at least from my side. Same year or New Year, same shit, but it's whatever. We're going to get past it. But before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about week one. Talk about some biggest losers, winners, reactions, just surprises overall. Then we'll get into Thursday night football. Last night we had another good game that happened. Week two, Pick Ems, Dad's top 10, and a few other things as well. So definitely stay tuned with us.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
Don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm going to set it for you real quick. LOB.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Lewis gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
What was your mindset when you stepped in the batter's box?
Go yard. I mean, I'm a pitcher. Why not swing as hard as I can? I got nothing to lose.
It's nothing to man above. Don't put you in situations that you can't handle. Instead of saying, why me? They're saying this is what he want me to do. And, Cleveland! This is for you!
The way we approach the game is the same way we approach life. You do the right thing. You make the right play. Make the right play. And in life, it's the same thing. What do you feel in your heart is the right thing to do? And you do that. It seems so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do. And I think it's just that.
Welcome to
What?
The game. To me.
All right. And we're back. Like we said, going to get into a little bit of week one. We're going to skip over Chiefs and Chargers for now. Get into the week one NFL game slate, everything that happened. So real quick, just thoughts, reactions. Like you said, it didn't go well for both of our teams. But just overall, what do you think about week one, Dad?
NFL's time is the best time of year for me. I prefer NFL over college. So week one was like Christmas for me. It lived up to the hype, in my opinion. My team lost, but a lot of great games, a lot of new players and new teams, a lot of new faces and new teams, and it was just entertaining. I want to see how everybody did at their new homes. Some people were tired. Some teams are ready to take that next step, and it was interesting from the missed kicks to the overtime games to the surprise teams that blew people out. It was just interesting all over, and it had me glued to my seat. Like, obviously, I watched all the games pretty much from 1 to 11, but I was flipping back and forth. Like, all games were entertaining, from the Falcons game to the Steelers game, all of them, even my game. So a great week one. Looking forward to 16 or 17 more weeks of the NFL season, and it's a lot to talk about. A lot of surprises.
Yeah, for sure. Same here, like you said, it was Christmas Day. It was my birthday. So, like I said, it was great to have a birthday and obviously football back in action. So, obviously, I was looking at my phone. I see the Falcons. I see what we doing. I'm like, oh, they about to give me a win on my birthday. Oh, even the Mets game, I think the Mets were playing too much. Oh, they about to give me a win on my birthday. This is slight. It's about to be great. It's great. And then obviously things unfold a certain way. But overall, like you said, we did get a lot of great games, a lot of surprise teams that we've heard, been talked about that may, take that next leap, take that next jump. And kind of went out and proved it on Sunday. One I will say is the Vikings, in my opinion. And then we said a few other teams for sure. Obviously, the Bills dominated their week one game. And, a lot of other teams, obviously that was Thursday night, but regardless, still part of week one. A lot of great games. Like you said, a lot of surprises, a lot of new faces on new teams. And, it was just great to have football back in general. But I think we're in for a really, really good year. Like I said, it's a lot of contenders that, we had the names. Obviously, people the Bills. People thought Chiefs were going to take a step back, losing Tyreek. That didn't, doesn't look like to be the case from even last night and week 1 when they played the Cardinals. And then obviously a few other teams that's gonna feel like they're gonna put their name in that hat for a Super Bowl. So definitely interesting week 1. We're gonna get into it a little bit, talk week 2 as well. But real quick, like week 1, who like I said, I know we got game ball and seller of the week coming up, but what was, I guess, your favorite game or favorite player that you got to tune in and watch?
I don't really have a favorite player, besides Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, but favorite game I watched, I would say the Bengals game. And I'm being honest, like I don't like either team, the Giants or the Titans. They're both shitty. But that 4:00 game was pretty good. The ending was pretty good and a ballsy call by the coach. But overall,
Sure. Oh snap!
no, like they weren't supposed to be in the game, and Steelers couldn't hold it down. So I would say that game and then the Giants game because of the ending.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like Mike Tomlin, and I think they did something similar last week when they went in, underdogs last year into their first game, and they ended up pulling out the win. It's like almost betting, like who would say you never bet against St. Nick. Tomlin kind of becoming like that a little bit. It's like you never bet against Tomlin. Like didn't really think going in. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky, winning out the starting job, and their defense is still pretty good, but they didn't know what to expect from them. Obviously, facing the defending AFC champs, and then also just 1 year removed from the Super Bowl. So definitely a good game from them. Like I said, put out a win and a divisional win as well. So for a division that we thought may just be possibly a 2-headed race for most of the year, because obviously Deshaun, was, the Steelers never seem to not be out of that mix. So like you said, hell of a job by them to pull out that win, even though should have been a lot quicker. Last few seconds of the game, one of the kickers finally ended up, wanting to show up for their job. So, great win by him, by them. And then, I guess for me, my favorite game to watch that week, I would say, honestly, obviously our game, but I did get to tune in a little bit into the Eagles and Lions game as well. And that was definitely back and forth. Obviously, we got to see a little bit, of the Lions from Hard Knocks, and just kind of see like kind of their heart and the things that they do. Obviously, you get a little bit. They kind of win you over. Like these Hard Knocks series kind of win you over certain teams that you kind of want to root for the next year. But they came out offensively. It looked like they're a little bit different of a team. Obviously, they got your boy DJ Shark. St. Brown obviously came surprised last year, being a rookie that kind of burst onto the scene as a wide receiver, and doesn't look like he's taking a step back in his rookie or second year either. Obviously, hopefully if he stays healthy, back wise they got
DeAndre Swift, he's a problem.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift, he'll be a problem.
Ready to break out.
Yeah, exactly. And I say even with the 2-headed monster, a little bit of Jamal Williams too, like he looked pretty good. As well. But on the other side of the ball, Eagles, totally, new dynamic. They added A.J. Brown in their receiver corps. Obviously, they still got Devontae Smith, even though I don't even think he caught a ball. He didn't catch a ball. Actually, he went over, 4 times and didn't catch one. But Miles Sanders, if he can stay healthy, another back that could be a problem. And again, on the defense side of the ball, they got both those guys from, UGA. So they're another team looking to, take another step and, given what Dallas has to deal with now, no Dak, and I know that's gonna hurt you too. He on your fantasy team, so no Dak.
By accident, that definitely wasn't on purpose.
I know it wasn't on purpose, but I said now you looking for a quarterback. But I mean, there's still some there that you can grab. But regardless, like I said, Eagles now looking to take that next step, and it possibly maybe them and the Commanders. Who knows? Even against the Giants, they all got week 1 wins. That's a rarity. When the last time that happened, that most of the division of the NFC East all got wins on their first week, but. Regardless, like I said, great first week. Kind of segue into game balls. Like I said, we kind of talked about some of our favorite games. But who would you give your game ball to this week?
Week 1, that's a tough one. But this might, it is what it is. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. They're not gonna be very good this year, but they showed up for week 1. Everybody knows how the 12s are. They go crazy, but Russ coming back after 10 years, the crowd was ready to go there rocking, and Geno Smith came out to play. His second half wasn't all that great, but he did enough to win the game. And the crowd and the team factored into the win. Fans have a big part to do with that, especially with the home field advantage. But Seattle, man, they played good football. I know Denver bit themselves in the foot a lot, and they were the better team in my opinion, and they should have won the game, but Seattle did enough to win. And I don't think anybody expected it to be a close game. I expected Russ. I know it's week 1, and a lot of games are close, but I expected Russ to have like a 30 for 37 stat line for like 350 and 5 touchdowns, especially with all those weapons he had in the Seattle. Like, they're not tanking, but they don't have the best roster in the league. So I was expecting a lot, but they showed up, man, and they gave us a great game to end week 1. So I'm going to give the game ball to Pete Carroll and Seattle because I know some people thought because he was coming back they might lose, with playing your old team. Just all the emotion in the game, the adrenaline feeding into that one game. Some people might have picked Seattle, but I definitely wasn't one of those people. I expected it to be a blowout, and it showed up. Yeah. So I'm going Seattle.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the teams I was going with. Not Pick Ems either. So that was one of my L's for sure. And Russ also disappointed me. That's my quarterback for fantasy. I handpicked him. I didn't even have to pick him, but he's done well for me in past years. But I don't know what it was. I really don't. Maybe it was nerves just coming back. Obviously being on the opposite side. They booed him. Coming out, that was a little unexpected.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't thinking they was going to do that, but I feel like he did. To me, I don't know. Just he didn't look comfortable. He didn't look nervous. A lot of his throws are off. Play calling was obviously off, even towards the end of the game, which we're about to talk about in a second anyway. Even towards the game, not calling a timeout for 30-some seconds to call a timeout, dumb stuff. I don't know. It just really was a weird just opening week for him. I think he does bounce back. I think they do. He does a little bit better. Obviously, this upcoming game this week, but he just didn't look. He didn't look right. He didn't look comfortable, and I don't know if it's like you said, just returning, being on opposite side of the ball, still getting used to maybe some play calls, new faces on his offense. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different moving parts. But like you said, shout out to Pete Carroll and those boys. Look renewed. I don't know what's going on. He had him a game as well, making a lot of dart passes. Like the first touchdown, and then I think the second one, I forgot what the tight end's name was, but not nice plays, a lot of extended plays, and like you said, even the defense came to play as well, making it hard for Russ and really anybody to get going on the opposite side of the ball. But for me, my game ball goes to. He didn't have like an over-the-top type game, but actually he did have an over-the-top type game. Justin Jefferson, I don't think he won Offensive Player of the Week this week. I think they gave it to Saquon, but I'm going to give it to Justin Jefferson. And honestly, the Vikings and Kirk Cousins as a whole. Kirk Cousins didn't turn over the ball this game. I think he went 23 for 32, just under 300 yards passing. Most of that, of course, was to Justin Jefferson. I think he had 180-something, 2 TDs. So, obviously, a lot of people expected the Vikings to be better, and obviously Green Bay to take a step back, given that they don't have Devontae Adams. Rookie wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers has to deal with, and then lost a lot of key players on the defensive side of the ball, including Zadarius Smith, who was on the other side of the ball on Sunday. So, I still expected it to be kind of a competitive game, but from start to finish, it just, ever since, that drop pass, was it Dobbs? It really just took on Watson. Yeah, not Dobbs. Watson. Yeah. So ever since that drop pass from Watson, it really was just a Vikings game from there. So I don't know. Obviously,
go ahead. So I'm gonna piggyback off you, but I agree.
Yeah. I think it's part of the what's coming up as well. I think they'll bounce back. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers will always figure it out. In my opinion, I think he thinks so as well. He experienced the same thing last year where they got their butt tore up by the Saints week 1. So I think they'll bounce back and they'll be better for it, everybody as a whole. But like I said, the Vikings just look different, look serious, and I think they're primed to maybe win this division and even go a little bit further, make themselves in contentions for the NFC representatives for Super Bowl. But what you think?
Yeah, Minnesota, all right, they could have played better. They played good, but they could have played better. They're way more capable than putting up more than 23 points. But
for sure.
I'm giving the game part of the. I agree with you giving them the game ball. I'm one of those people that is on the Minnesota hype train. I always thought they were a solid football team, but they couldn't close games. They're kind of like the Chargers. They're the Chargers of the NFC.
Yeah.
Blowing all these close games and blowing leads. And I've just bought into the stock. Like, they have a solid quarterback, a good run game, 2 really good receivers, a solid young tight end, and then they have a defense. They signed Zadarius Smith, brought him over, so he was hungry to go against his former team. And if anybody gets the game ball, like, from Minnesota, I know they get it as a whole, but their defense, like, they were constantly, even though besides that drop ball, that was a big play in the game because it would have been 7-7, but they were constantly pressuring A-Rod all day. He wasn't very comfortable the entire day. And him having to hold the ball with those people he's not really familiar with, he does have a connection. Like, I know you've had training camp together, but with your rookie receivers, they weren't. Aaron's not usually the guy that takes his guys to the Bahamas to get extra work in. So that time I need to work a week or two to get to, get right. And with them pressuring him, he wasn't able to anticipate those because he didn't know they're on the same page. Like, expecting him to break at 15, but he broke at 13. Like, you don't have the same trust you have with Devontae. Lazard didn't play, correct?
Nah, I don't think so. I think he's
Lazard. So some of the guys you play with, Randall Cobb, he's old, so that doesn't really count anymore. But the chemistry wasn't there, so them pressuring him and getting him off his rhythm made it have a long day. So shout out to the defense, man, and that secondary suspect, but they held up. So shout out to Minnesota as a whole. And I know we're probably not talking about it this week, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I'm on the hype train so much that I think they're gonna be in the NFC Championship game. I think they're gonna play Tampa. That's it's not an early prediction, but that's just my guess so far.
Okay, the Tampa versus Vikings, you think in the NFC Championship?
Yeah, I'm not saying who's going to win yet, though, because I cannot see Minnesota in the Super Bowl. But, hey, if Greg wins the ring, bro, nobody can tell him anything because he's been getting hate on for the longest, and he's a solid quarterback.
Yeah, and he's starting, he's starting to kind of prove that, I mean, not really starting to, but kind of like even turned in, even last year a little bit, starting to see, given the contracts that was given out this year as well, they're different styles of quarterbacks that, the quarterbacks this year. But kind of showing that he's earned that $84 million that people just been so hard on him about. But we go from game ball to sellers of the week.
You got to go first on this one. I got to hear this one.
Who sold this week? Honestly, obviously, hands down, I'm gonna have to talk about my team. Like, obviously, but the thing is, they're not the biggest sellers because they've done this before. They've done this time and time again. We've seen this at least once a year since 2016. We've seen it once a year. Yes, they definitely sold. You can't be up. It just added to the graphic. Everybody knows the graphic. I probably should have put it up. It's been at least 10 games that they show we've had the lead at some point in the fourth quarter by at least double digits, and we just give it away. As I said at the beginning of the year, I don't know. I've said it probably to you privately. I said it in the group chat. I said it on probably one of our shows before the season even started. I'm not gonna let the Falcons stress me this year. I'm just gonna have fun with it. I was happy we was in the game. We was competing. To even be up by 16 might have been a blessing on that glorious Sunday. But yes, like we sold once again. And I don't know what it is. It's just, obviously it's from the top down. I think it's just some type of, it's a disease. It's a disease within the organization. It's probably because we built the stadium on top of all them churches. But it's like, I don't understand when we get up, we just go super conservative and just start making dumb calls and doing dumb plays. Like, I don't remember what part of the game it was and my phone died, but I just remember at the end of the game, listening to Mariota said that he lost track of where the first down was. and then didn't, like, I think it was towards the end of the third quarter or beginning of the fourth quarter. It was in red zone. I think it was in the fourth quarter at some point. It was in the red zone. He should have scored, or we could have at least got 6 points out of it. He said he lost track of the first down. He was already 6 yards past the first down, and he didn't slide. He dove head first and then fumbled. So it's like when stuff like that happens, you kind of know the game gonna be over anyway. But of course, like I said, selling as a whole. He fumbled. Well, I don't even know what happened. I don't know if it was the center's fault or his fault. But even the third down, when it's 3rd and 1, all we need is a first down. Probably can end the game that way. You drop the ball, you don't get the first down. It's like time and time again, we have opportunities to take over the game, put it away, or we just let teams in. We let Jameis look like a MVP candidate for this year, putting up 270-something yards in one quarter with 2 TDs. Like, that's insane, no matter who you are. So they definitely sold for the week, but I'm definitely they're half of my sellers. They're probably 60%. The other 40%, I'm giving it to Denver and their new head coach. Just terrible clock management at the end of the game. Like, they easily could have came away with that game. Like, they're close to the midfield line, but they like had a minute left. I don't know. Russ, it's Russ. It's part of Russ' fault too. I give him to being seller of the week as well because it's like you're a veteran at that point. Like I don't know what they're saying in your head, but you gotta call a timeout. You know y'all got. They had what 2 or 3 timeouts. You know you have a timeout.
They had all three.
They had all 3 timeouts. Call one timeout. Like you took 30 seconds to try to put a play together, and then you called a timeout anyway. And then they try to kick a 64-yard field goal. They had a whole minute. There's no way they shouldn't be been able to get within at least to the 30 or 40-yard line on the opposite side to make it an easier field goal. So those 2 are my sellers of the week. They probably have similar sellers of the week, but it really could have been a lot of people. It could have been kickers from different teams. Could be anybody. Who's your seller?
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, you took the 2 games that teams really like sold or folded in or just shit the bed. You could say the Texans because they were up 20-3 in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, and they let the Colts come back in tie. But I'm gonna go seller. I'm gonna go with kickers, man. I know it's a tough job because it's nerve-wracking. I always remember, like, when I played, like, the first pass of the game was always probably the worst because you're just a little nervous. You had to get them jitters out. So I can imagine trying to kick, like, a game-winning field goal. Everybody's watching you, but you have one job. You practice to the side by yourself all week in practice. You're constantly kicking in the net over the course of the game. And like, I get it, you're nervous, but you have one job, man. Like, so many missed opportunities from – I'm not going to count a blocked field goal because that's somebody missing their assignment because they were pretty easy to win the game. But literally, bro, I'm trying to think. All right, well, you got Cade York who held it down for the Browns, 57 yards, rookie. Isaac James, but you got guys like McPherson who was money in the playoffs last year.
He was selling. I was like, what's going on?
And you got Chris Boswell. I'm trying to think about who else missed field goals. But just kickers all around folding. Koo was fine. His got blocked, but Lutz was clutch too. Georgia State and Georgia Southern got some kickers in the league. I wasn't even thinking about that. But kickers as a whole, you have one job. I know it's hard, but that's your one job. Like, I don't know there's nothing more I really need to say. You have one job to make a field goal. You could go home. And if it's not blocked, like, I don't really understand it, man. That's why I just hate putting the faith in kickers' hands. Bro, I just don't know what it is, man. I think games off of easy field goals. Like, some of them were like 30, 40 yards. Like, where the extra point is, because, they're kicking from the 15. So, like, an extra point is what? Like, 32, 30-something yards. And I don't know, man. Kickers just had a bad week. But this has happened before. I expect to see it again. But I'm going to go with kickers. And, I could piggyback off what you're saying. That Broncos situation was terrible. I could give a whole bunch of alternatives that you could have done. You could have hurried up and kicked the field goal, had all 3 of your timeouts, about a minute or 50 seconds left. All second half, the Seahawks hadn't moved the ball consistently. Geno was struggling a little bit after, everything started to calm down and they started to adjust from, I guess, looking at film during halftime because, in the NFL, they get film just like that, like until the drive's over. So they were able to adjust. They could have called a timeout, went for it, had 2 timeouts, able to get the ball back. It would have been a tougher situation, but you would have had the ball back with maybe like 15, 20 seconds. And, hey, Russ can make magic happen. He did in Seattle all the time, so why not do it again? But it was just so many different situations they could have done. I'm glad he admitted to it after. I don't think he really had a choice, but in the game and the fate in the hands of your kicker over the person you just gave $250 million. But I will say, if he made the kick, he might still be getting some slander, but they wouldn't be on his neck like that. I know in Denver, they was on his neck. And he almost made the kick, really. He had enough distance to just curve in the last second. But all around, it's his first game. I know he'll bounce back from it. He's a solid coach because he was our OC in Jacksonville for a couple of years. He even got the best out of Blake Bortles. So I'm rooting for him, but it's just a rough week 1. But it happens to the best of them. Even Bill Belichick's had bad moments. Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, when they were young coaches. So everybody shakes back. But there's a bad time to have this moment. When the spotlight,
it's a bad time.
I don't know how many people were watching, but yeah, it was a bad time.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Everything that
we don't need to talk about the Falcons. We already talked about it before the show. I wasn't surprised at this. We talked about it. I had a friend for our viewers. He was watching the game with me, and he was about to take a nap. He said, "Oh yeah, the Falcons got this." I said, "Man, you must not know your team. You just stay up 15 more minutes."
He a new Falcons fan.
Yeah, man, it's rough being ATL. And they say y'all are cursed because the curse is over. The Braves won, but they said how y'all did Mike Vick, y'all gonna be cursed for that. So it is what it is.
Yeah, we definitely trying to block for a minute. We not coming out of that. So I don't know. I might have to switch up sides soon. I'm a fan of the game as a whole. My fandom for them has decreased since 2016. They've let me down since then, and I just can't I can't give them the same energy, love, and joy and heart that I've done before all my life. So we're gonna take a step back. And like you said, we just going. I'm gonna enjoy the ride this year. Like I said, if I see flashes out of Drake London, I see flashes out of our guys that we drafted last year, our second year guys, Hawkins. I don't know why I just lost his name. Hawkins, Grant, and some other guys on the O line. Then I'm fine with it. I'm perfectly okay. So it's whatever. We can go as long as we just go 0-17. I just can't be the first 0-17 team. Like we gotta win at least 1 or 2 games. We can't be the first.
I felt that, but I mean, some of the people you named did pretty good. I know Kyle Pitts has to get more targets. I know you're gonna say something about that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I forgot. He had 19 yards. I forgot he on your fantasy team too. So I know you was hurting. Oh no, he's not on your fantasy team. You got Cordell Patterson.
I have him in another league. No, Cordell 8. I knew he was going to
Cordell 8. Yeah,
but Drake London looked good though in his first game. I'll give him that, and he had a tough matchup because the Saints secondary isn't no slouch. Even though they let go of Gardner Johnson and Marcus Williams, but Marshawn Lattimore is still a top 5 corner.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's whatever. Whatever they do this year is cool with me as long as we don't go 0-17. That's all I really care about. But next, we're gonna go ahead and skip over to week 2. Talk a little bit about last night's game, Thursday night football, Chiefs Chargers. Another good one. Like you said, you alluded to earlier in the show that the Chargers are just one of those teams that can't seem to finish. Like, yes, my Falcons can't finish, but at least the Chargers aren't not finishing in the fashion we're not finishing in. But everything turned around last night with that pick 6. It seemed like they had total control of the game. Herbert was looking great. Obviously, he took a few hits and got banged up, so he was looking a little shaky towards the end. Even though it was still making plays, though, which was confusing me. I don't know how you couldn't run for the first down, but then you make a dart of a pass, almost a TD to Carter. So regardless, that's another thing. But again, like I said, they look good last night. They look like a team that will be in contention, is going to make life hell for Kansas City and a lot of other people in the AFC. But again, like I said, on the other side of the ball, Mahomes, he has some new toys, new weapons with Scouting's Vanting. I said his name wrong. Vanting. I'll be messing up his name all the time. But then also Juju still has Nicole, and then Kelsey. Claire came to play as well too. He had him a nice few runs, nice few catches in the passing game as well. So like I said, everyone thought he would take a step back with Tyreek being gone, but they just look like it's the same old thing. It's the same thing, clockwork with Mahomes. So I don't know. Great game overall. Like I said, Chargers kind of sold. They make it interesting at the end with the TD, and even almost recovered the onside kick. But definitely a matchup that we're going to be watching for years to come. Can't wait to see when they face off again later on in the year. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, man, it's the first of many great AFC West showdowns. I know the Raiders and I can't even think right now. The Raiders and Chargers played on Sunday. No, the Raiders and Chargers played last night.
Oh yeah.
The first of many showdowns between Mahomes and Herbert, man. But like you said, great game. But the game changed. The game swung on that pick 6. It was a 14-point swing because the Chargers were at the 2 or 3 yard line, and they had the potential to go up 7, and then they were down 7, just like that. But the misread with the quarterback and the receiver being fatigued, so he probably wasn't, didn't give his best route. But overall, great game. For the most part of the game, the Chargers looked like the better team. They were in control of the game, just on all phases. I think Mahomes had to struggle more than he usually does, but he's Mahomes, so he made stuff happen. Both teams just played well. It was a solid football game. Like you can tell. On the Chiefs side, they look okay. I want them to establish more of a run game. I know Edwards-Helaire got a 3-down back, so it's going to be tough. But Pacheco needs to get involved a little bit more. And then you need your other guys to step up. I know they got the dub, but Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling need to step up. You can't have 3 catches. But they're spreading the ball around. You got Kelsey catching passes, Hardman, Helaire, the Watson kid. They got Trey. They caught the TD. Noah Gray. They have a whole bunch of weapons. McKinnon as well that he spread the ball around to. So I'm glad that Mahomes is showing the world that he's not, a product of Tyreek. Tyreek helped him be more explosive as a quarterback he helped him, jumpstart his career. But I think it goes back to last year when a lot of teams were coming out and sitting in cover 4 and cover 2 and making him have to have those 14 play drives and check the ball down the field. And at first he wasn't comfortable with that because they weren't they didn't bomb you every play, but they were a big play team. They had a lot of 3 and 4 play drives, and he had to get used to having those 14 play drives and taking what the defense gives him. And he did that over the course of the season once he got to the midpoint. And this year he's doing it perfectly. He knows when to take his shots, and that's just showing his growth as a quarterback. On the Chargers side, man, they're going to be good, solid team. I knew Mike Williams was going to step up. I just had a feeling. He had a big game. I love to see him and Keenan Allen back healthy. Herbert played good besides the pick 6, and I like how he gritted out, at the end because it looked like he broke his ribs. And if anybody's ever had
that's what I thought too.
It hurts to breathe. It hurts to lift up your arm. Just do anything. So shout out to him for that. And the defense is as advertised. I will say that Orlando Brown, shout out to him. He held his own against Khalil Mack. They weren't wreaking havoc how they did against the Raiders. They got pressure, but Mahomes was a little more athletic. But Chargers is a good team, bro. Real good team offensively and defensively. I like to see them throw the ball down the field more because he only had 2 passes that were over 17 yards, which is kind of rare because Herbert's a gunslinger, you could say. But 2 good teams. My boy Asante from FSU, he got to hold on to those picks. He might have had 2 pick sixes if he held on the ball.
He should have,
Solid young corner. He's only going to get better because his first week was Devontae, and that's as good as it gets. So he's going to bounce back. But overall, great game, great first Thursday night game. Hopefully Herbert can miss 1 week and then come back healthy because we play them next week. So we need everything we can get. We love to see Chase Daniel out there. But great game, man.
You're probably not going to see him.
I can't wait to.
You're going to definitely see Herbert.
I can't wait to see these guys battle it out. Now I hope they'd be like it's the Jaguars. You could take a week off. But yeah, I know everybody was tuned in. Great game and looking forward to more.
Yeah, like you said, it was definitely like you said, a great game as a whole. Mahomes, like you just alluded to, the whole game had to take what was given to him. A lot of it was just under, or check down, whatever the case may be. Because like you said, they're not even without Tyreek, they're not really letting him go over the top at the moment. But then he eventually opened up. He stepped up in the pocket and found Watson downfield on a one-on-one. He got J.C. Jackson turned around and threw a dart to him on his way to the end zone. So like you said, he's definitely learning. He's definitely growing. They don't have to take – and I think you said they learned, all of this obviously all throughout last year, but definitely for sure in that AFC Championship game because the Bengals just wasn't giving up anything deep. And then there was times where he kind of held onto the ball a little too long and then, got a little bit of pressure to where, it was a bad throw, off the mark throw, or he just couldn't get it, get it out of his hands. But, that's just the next step for him as a quarterback, and I think he's learning very fast. As always, like you said, on the other side of the ball, the other young quarterback, Herbert, definitely gritty because I honestly was like, dang, in my head, I'm like, take him out. Especially the play where he literally probably could have, obviously, like he was hurt. He probably could have walked and got the first down, but he like awkwardly threw it and then like was hurting on the side. But then next play came back and threw, a dart down the field to Carter. I was like, get him out, because then I think the next play he looked terrible trying to throw the ball again as well. So I was like, just get him out the game because it's just not, it ain't working. And don't want him to get hurt and further, injure him to where he ain't going to be able to play in the following weeks. But like you said, he gritted it out, got a touchdown on that drive, and eventually didn't get the ball back, but ended the game. But like I said, he gets an extended week. I think as long as it's not broken ribs, I think he'll be all right and be able to play. Against your squad. So probably looking at who y'all play this week.
Play the Colts. It's a toss-up. The streak could end or we could be 0-2. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I'm going to the game, though. We don't lose that much when I go to games. My, overall career record, I've been in, 30 or 40, but it's over 500. So let's continue. Or I'm going to have a terrible ride back. That's all I know.
Y'all got to change. That was at home. So you're not going to Indianapolis. So, y'all got a chance, but he said.
I know, Deion. We already talked about him, buddy.
Don't want to talk about him no more. So we'll probably hit on. Well, the next time we're going to talk about him is Pick Ems. I ain't hitting on him no more. But great game by them. Great game by Gino. But yeah, let's move on from the Thursday night game. Talk about our Pick Ems. Obviously, Pick Ems Challenge. Pick Ems Challenge is back. Forgot who won last year. I think we was tied. It came close. It came down to the wire. It was a 1 or 2 game difference. But this year, I'm off to a bad start. I picked a lot of wrong games. A lot of them were close, but a lot of them probably I wasn't even thinking about it too much. I just put in faith in the last year, and just didn't come out on top. But Dad went 11-4-1. I went 9-6-1, so I'm 2 games back. We both went with Kansas City yesterday, so I guess I'm 10-6-1, and Dad's 12-4-1. But Pick'em Challenge this year. This year, each and every week, loser of the Pick'ems for that week is going to have to do some type of challenge or punishment on our following show. I've already gotten a few things that's been thrown my way. One of them was dealing with crickets. Probably not going to do that one. We're going to mix it up a little bit and figure it out. But definitely, if you guys are listening in, like I said, each week punishment for a person that loses Pick'ems of that week. So go ahead and DM us, comment on the show down below on TikTok, whichever one, and just let us know what you guys want to see or whatever the punishment that we got to do. But this week we're gonna take it off because I just put that out yesterday. But Dad did win this week. Congrats to him. I'm gonna come back better and stronger this week. We got a lot of good games on the schedule, but that could swing either way, honestly, which we're actually about to get into now. So actually, no. Get past that. Come back to here. And then we'll go back to Dad's top 10. But week 10, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it? If you can't, I'll just read out the games.
I see everything.
All right, bet. So we'll do our week 2 pick'ems real quick, and then we'll go into Dad's top 10s and then a few other things that we got planned for the night. But week 2 pick'ems, we can kind of obviously talk about a little bit who we think is going to win, who we don't think is going to win. Obviously, like I said last night, we both went with Kansas City. First game on tab this week, Jets, Cleveland. Who you got?
I got Cleveland. That defense was looking crazy last week. Like Baker was under constant pressure, and I know Carolina's O-line is not bad, but it's going to be the same result with the Jets, and they got Joe Flacco back there, so he's going to throw him a couple picks, and I think Jacoby will play better, and he's going to get Amari Cooper more involved. So I'm going to go Cleveland, and it's their home opener.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cleveland as well. Like you said, it's really that defense. They're scary. It's going to be scary all year long. That secondary from the front four is ridiculous. Obviously, like I said, got Myles Garrett, leading the charge in the front, and got so many of those guys in the back. Grant Dale, Pitt, all these second, third, fourth year guys too. So they're really scary, really a problem to have to deal with. And Jets being, I don't know if they would have had a better chance with Zach Wilson or not. More likely, probably not. But going in there with a shell of himself, Joe Flacco. Even though they got some playmakers around him as well, they didn't look too bad. Wilson looks, obviously is promising. Corey Davis didn't look too bad, and then obviously Marco Carter had a pretty good game as well this past week. So, not going to write him off fully, but Cleveland is at home. Like I said, that defense is just, I think it's going to get after Joe and the boys all day. I don't think Joe's going to have much time to get rid of it. So I'm going to go Cleveland as well. Washington, Detroit, who you got?
This is low-key a tough one. I'm going to go with Detroit, but it wouldn't surprise me if Washington won. Most people know, not everybody, but I like Carson Wentz. I know he's had some bad times, but I think he's a solid quarterback, and he looked pretty good this week. I think these are the best weapons he's ever had. Like, I know he had Alshon Jeffrey for a year when he was okay, and Aguilar, but McLaurin, Samuel, and Dotson are pretty solid, and he looked good against us. But Detroit puts up points. I think this is their second game at home, so crowd's gonna be ready to go, and they put up points against Philly, who had supposed to have a pretty good defense. So I'm gonna go with Detroit to get to 1-1.
We both going 2-2 for this one. I'm trying to remember the ones I did. I did a pick'ems for work that I put $10 in. I feel like I should have a pretty good week on that. But I think I also did go with the Commanders. Like I said, I think Carson Wentz is starting to hopefully get back to his first, second year in the league when he actually was looking. They was talking of MVP talks about him. So he looks pretty good. Like you said, he has a lot of weapons around him. Hopefully, Robinson's back out on the field soon as well with them. Antonio Gibson didn't do too bad last week either in the pass and run game. And like you said, he got 3 really fast and capable receivers around him that can make big plays at any time. So definitely going to go with Washington with this one. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Who you got on this one?
I'm going with New Orleans. For some reason, in the regular season, they have Tampa Bay's number, and then Tampa Bay's a little banged up. I think they look good. Like, defensively, they look good, and the offense kind of just scratched the surface. Julio made a couple plays, which I was glad to see. He stays hurt, but when he's healthy, he can still be pretty good. But I'm going to go with New Orleans. Chris Godwin not playing. They have a whole bunch of people that are questionable for the game, like Fournette, some offensive linemen. Julio as well, because he's always nicked up. So I'm going to go New Orleans. They started slow last week versus Atlanta, but you know the home opener, they're gonna be rocking in New Orleans, so I'm gonna ride with them. They're not gonna come out as flat because they be ready for Tom Brady. I don't know why, but I wish what's his name was there, Gardner Johnson, because he be in Brady's head. But yeah.
I hate Gardner Johnson with passion. I'm gonna go opposite on this one. I think I went Tampa Bay, and thinking I'm gonna go Tampa Bay again here. Like you said, honestly it's a risky move. Me saying Tampa Bay because they literally have their. I think Mike Evans may be the only one that's considered healthy right now in the receiving corps. I know Gage is out, like you said. Julio's questionable. I think he'll end up suiting up, but I think he's questionable. Obviously, Godwin will be out. But they got a few other people. Like Brady just seems to always find somebody. I forgot that it's not. I thought it was Perryman, but it's I think somebody else. Another receiver, I think number 16. I want to say last name is Johnson, but they got some other guys that could maybe fill that role. I think Fournette will end up suiting up as well, but their offensive line is beat to hell. So I don't know. That may be the difference of the game, like you said, because New Orleans, their defense is just as stout as the Bucs. So that front four, I think, is honestly going to be one of the trenches this game. That front four of New Orleans, if Tampa Bay can hold up or not, and if not, then it's going to be a long day for Brady. And like you said, that building is going to be rocking. The Saints, can make plays here and there. And obviously with Jameis, as long as he takes care of the ball, he finds Michael Thomas, he finds Olave, he finds Landry, that actually looked pretty good last week as well, made the big catch to even get them in field goal range. They're going to be all right. And I'm pretty sure Kamara is not going to have a repeat of what he did last week either. So they could very well win that game. I'm going to go Tampa Bay just because I hate the Saints and I just can't go with them. So hopefully they go without the win. Can't go. It's just like certain division rivals. Obviously, I don't like Tampa Bay either, but it's like you're a Falcons fan, you can't roll the Saints for no reason, for nothing. So I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay on this one. Carolina, who they play? Giants, yeah. Carolina Giants. Who you got? Oh dang. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up to you. Yeah. So Carolina Giants. Giants got them a big week, big win last week. Like you said, coach the ball. Showing some of those, kahunas and went for it on fourth down. And honestly, Saquon got lucky. They honestly shouldn't make the tackle in the backfield, but Saquon ends up squeezing it in for the touchdown. But I don't know. This is gonna be a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with Giants with this one. They're at home. Like some games like this where I think it's 50-50. Carolina, obviously, they have a pretty young and promising defense that's pretty good. Baker played okay last week. He started to come along, towards the second half of the game. And find certain targets like Robbie Anderson. So I think they'll make it a game, but I think for some reason, I think it's a new field. For some reason, it's a new field up there in in Giants world. So I think they'll end up coming out with the win. I think it'll be a close game, though. I think about a field goal. But I'm gonna go with the Giants on this one. Honestly, just because they're at home.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think I'm kind of buying in a little bit to the Debo era. He had a gutsy call. Saquon, I never wrote him off. He just, if you're not out
always
there,
hurt.
Yeah, if you're hurt, people gonna start to doubt you. But I never doubted him or McCaffrey. So two of my favorite backs in the league going against each other. Carolina didn't look that bad after they settled in. They showed some flash, and it was a good game, honestly. But I'm gonna go with the Giants. Their home opener. There's a little buzz around the city. New York, they get one win, they going crazy because they're not used to this. They suck. But Daniel Jones looked a little bit more confident. He made some mistakes, but a little more confident. I love to see them play Tony more. I know he's in the doghouse, but both teams have weapons, and I think it could be a dogfight. Dabo has them confident and playing good, so I'm going to go with the G-Men at home. But I agree with you. It's going to be like a 3-point game. Like, it might come down to a field goal, just like last week, because Carolina's no slouch. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they're a slouch either. You said they got a promising young team. I think they're going to make it a game for sure, if not win it. But New England, Pittsburgh, that's a toss-up to me. I don't think New England just looked outmatched really in all phases really last week. But I don't think, obviously the Dolphins improved quite vastly this offseason. Their defense looked better. And obviously adding an offensive weapon like Tyreek Hill does a lot of wonders for your offense as well. So, but I'm not betting against, Belichick just had them just as a whole, as a team, just having 2 bad weeks back to back. Honestly, I think they make this a game, but I still think they lose for some reason. Pittsburgh's at home again. Like I said, Mike Tomlin's one of those guys. I'm thinking like you just don't bet against them. They're going to find a way to win. They still have a hungry defense with Michael Fitzpatrick, Hayward, and Mitch. I think actually did he played pretty well. He played to the best of his ability last week. And they still got guys obviously on the opposite side of the ball: Deontay Johnson, Claypool, even George Pickens, who I feel like could pick it up this week as well. And Najee Harris in the backfield. So they got a pretty potent offense as well. As long as they're able to share the ball and take care of the ball, Mitch Trubisky, I think they could pull out another win. So I'm gonna take Pittsburgh at home this week. What about you?
I hate going against Belichick, but they just didn't look good last week. When you got a defensive coordinator running the offense, that's something I don't agree with. And as bad as Pittsburgh offense was last week, I think they're gonna pick it up. Najee's hurt a little bit, but Pickens is gonna get more involved. Trubisky's gonna play better, and it's their first home game, so. I don't see a lot of competent teams losing their home opener. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh going to 2-0 and then New England 0-2. So people are going to start to panic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it may just be like, all right, babe, we're about to take this type of year because I forgot he is running the offense. I said they really can't take for anything. Yeah. I was like, they went with Mac Jones and obviously took the top prospects in the draft more than likely going to be quarterback. So
yeah,
that would take for what. But I mean, maybe it was see what Mac Jones is for 2 years and then, to trade, move on, figure it out, but who knows? Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Gotta go with
I'm going with the hometown team. I'm going to the game, so I think that's going to have a little bit to do with it. I got a little bit of luck going to games, but we kind of have their number at home. We've beat them every year at home since 2015. I think the streak continues. Colts didn't look that good this week. Michael Pittman might not play because he didn't practice on Wednesday, and I just think if we're able to stack the box and force Matt Ryan to pass, as crazy as that sounds, because I think he's a really good quarterback. Not the same as he used to be, but a really good quarterback. If we can stack the box with 8 or 9, control the run game, and force him into passing situations, I think they have one of the worst receiving corps in the league. And our secondary is world beaters, but we're good. Tyson Campbell made a play last week. He had a pick, and we got a lot of young players that can go. I see it's a bright future for our defense. So I think they'll show up. And it's our first home game. We have a little bit of buzz. It would have been better if we won last week. But just from watching, like I'm not a moral victory guy, especially with my team. But this was a good loss. And we should have won the game last week. So I think we'll find a way to do it and go to 1-1.
Yeah. I'm going to just go against the grain and pick up.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Anyway, just because, I like to have differences in our pick-ems. But also, like you said, I mean, it's a lot. Again, another risky one because, like you said, I agree with you fully. Y'all can stack the box, and the game is y'all's. It's in hand because their receiving core is, but their offensive line is they're not terrible. It's okay, but Matt was being put on the ground a lot last week as well, just like he was being put on the ground when he was with us in Atlanta. Obviously, they got Jonathan Taylor. That's a problem that you guys might have to deal with. But outside of that, like I said, he doesn't have much help in the receiving core. If Michael Pittman doesn't play, it's even less of help. And you can easily, like I said, come away with this game. Their defense isn't terrible. It's taken, I think, a few steps back in recent years. Obviously, they got Darius Leonard, but you guys got playmakers on your team. James Robinson didn't look bad last week coming off of ACL. You still got NTN in the backfield, and you guys got a pretty decent receiving core. And you guys, like you said, are at home. So I can see it going either way, but I'm gonna go with I gotta go with my former quarterback, best quarterback in Atlanta history. Gotta go with Matt Ryan. I think he's going to get his team to the first win of the year. Came out with a tie last week, but lead them to a win and victory this week. And go ahead and I don't know, maybe I guess with a win, and if the Titans lose, then I guess they would be the division leaders at that point. So I'm gonna go with them. I mean, even if the Titans win, they'll still be division leaders. But gotta root for my guy Matt for the rest of the year. So I'm gonna go with Indianapolis, Miami, Baltimore. Who you got?
This is a tough one. This is one of my games of the week. Miami looked good on defense last week. Could be a little bit more explosive the offense, but they're going against Baltimore. I don't know. I think they should have beat the Jets by a little more. They're capable of having a better performance, but I don't know. Last year when these teams matched up, I know McDaniels, I know it's not Flores' staff, but he watches film, and they were one of the teams that blitzed Lamar with they brought 6 or 7 more than 50% of the time, and it happened to work because I think they shut him out or held him to 3 points. So I think they're going to use that as well this week. Miami has the corners to match up and play man with Xavier Howard and Jones, with Holland back in the back end at safety. So I'm going to go with the upset pick. It's not an upset pick, but I'm taking Miami on the road. I know Baltimore is a tough place to play, but I don't think they have Peters and Humphrey, but I really don't think nobody can check Tyreek. They're going to come up with some type of scheme to not let them get behind them, but I think Miami's going to find a way. They play defense. I think they'll take the ball away, and they play Lamar. They gave him one of his worst games of his career last year, so I think they'll use that game plan, and he won't have his worst game of his career, but they're going to find a way to slow him down a little bit, and I think Miami finds a way to get out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore blew him out. But
yeah, that's a good. I'm trying to remember who I picked in the pick-ems at work, and I feel like I went with Baltimore, but I wanted to go with Miami so bad. I could probably look back at the sheet. I probably forgot, but I might have even went with Miami. But it's one, like you said, this might be the game of the week. Definitely one of the game of the week, but it might be the game of the week. It's two teams that we feel like is going to, compete in the AFC as well. Obviously we feel like top dog is probably the Bills and Kansas City, but they're right there, right there under them as well. There's another tier probably right under them. So, like you said, Baltimore obviously got Lamar. Not going to, think against him. And receiver core for them look a little bit better. Duvernay made some plays last week. Obviously the backfield's still a little bit banged up, hoping to get, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and all those guys that really, that's what I say, supposed to play this week, that really are supposed to, going to be in the backfield getting a lot of touches. That's going to just change the dynamic of the offense as well. Obviously still has Mark Andrews, and the defense, like you said, is still, really solid with Humphreys, Peterson, and I forgot the name of the linebacker, but, definitely got a solid group there still to where they can compete. They're at home as well. This is another just toss up in my opinion. Like I said, Miami played well last week. We got speedsters on the opposite side of the ball, and their defense, looks a lot more stout. Like I said, their secondary is really, really talented. So it could go either way, but I'm gonna go. We've got a lot of differences this week. Besides those first two games, I'm gonna go Baltimore in this one. I think they'll find a way to squeak it out. I'm gonna go with Baltimore. They find a way to squeak it out. I think Lamar has some magic at the end of the game. This might be another one of those comes down to a field goal, and you can't bet against their kicker either. Probably best kicker in the league at this point right now, Justin Tucker. I would say one or two, but I think that's how it's gonna go. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Baltimore in this one. Atlanta, LA, who you got?
Man, you already know where I'm going. This is going to be our quickest one. I got the Rams. They got smacked week 1. They didn't look good on either side of the ball. The game should have been worse than it was. They should have got beat by more than 21, but they're angry. They're going to feed A-Rod way more than they did last week, and they're going to have a field day. But the Falcons, they showed some fight last week. We'll see what they got this week, but I don't think this game's going to be close. And they're going all the way across the country, different times, all that. So they're going to have to adjust, and I don't think that secondary is ready for what's about to happen. So I'm gonna go Rams by 20. I haven't even put scores in any of the games. So I'm gonna go Rams by 20.
I can see that as well, because our next little segment is who bounces back, and I was definitely about to say the Rams are finna feast on us for sure. I don't know, obviously it's only week 2, and it's like we've dealt with losses like this, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was his last year. I think we did 3 weeks in a row. We ended up getting up leads. So it's like we've had weeks and games and years that have started off like this. I just don't know how this team is going to respond. Arthur Smith didn't really take ownership of losing the game last week. He really just talked about the media writing us off, and then we're going to still do what we do, whatever the case may be. I kind of understand where he's coming from. But I don't know how this team's going to respond. I feel like it won't be as detrimental as it's been in the past years, but I still don't think we win the game. Like you said, we might fight, we might make it competitive for stretches, but I think overall the Rams are just going to be way, way, way too much for us. But I will say our offensive line did play really, really well last week, a lot better than I thought they would ever. So who knows? They got a tall task against this week playing against Floyd, obviously Aaron Donald, a few other guys. So it's another game that's going to be one of the trenches. But I guess we have a mobile quarterback now, quote unquote. But we're going to lose the game. I won't say about 20, but we're going to lose the game for sure. I'm going to go with the Rams. Moving on, we got San Francisco and Seattle. Who you got in this one? It's a tough one.
It's not, in my opinion, this one's not as tough. It is. I know they showed a lot of fight week 1, but I think San Fran's upset about the week 1 performance. I know it was in the monsoon. Let's talk about that. I think the Trey Lance slander needs to slow down just a little bit. Any quarterback that plays in those type of conditions is not going to have a great game. This was his first start as the guy, so he was a little nervous. And you can't call for his replacement after playing in those conditions. It was literally a monsoon during the middle of the game. And Jimmy G wouldn't have played that much better. I know Trey Lance's accuracy needs some work, and Jimmy G's better in that department, but Jimmy G wouldn't have had a good game either. And I wanted to hear how they would have critiqued him, but I think he's going to bounce back. He's hungry, the home opener, so – and I think Seattle comes back down to earth. And Geno's going to have Bosa on his neck all game. So I'm going to go with San Fran. I say San Fran by like 10.
I can see San Fran winning this one as well. Like you said, kind of like another team that looks or needs to bounce back for sure. And I think, the Seattle game, it was just they were definitely riding on the high. I won't say like they're not a good team. I think Pete Carroll had those guys ready for that game. They should have them ready, to travel to San Fran as well. But it may just be a little bit too much for them. I will say San Fran, who got hurt? Yeah, Mitchell got hurt. Elijah Mitchell got hurt, but they're running back almost,
for real, they are.
Who's up next? They're gonna have so many 3 or 4 back rotations. I forgot who's up next. I forgot. But they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be right, like you said. I personally, I don't know. I just think that whole Trey Lance, Jimmy G situation kind of weird. Obviously, they're not going to go back to Jimmy G. Probably look to trade him maybe mid-season or next season. But I think he'll end up having a bounce back game. Conditions should be better. He still has Debo. Kittle's still out, right? Yeah, Kittle's still out. We got Debo. He got a yoke. So he should bounce back. Should play a lot better. Like you said, it was week 1. Should be the man, but. It's Seattle. It should be a good test game as well. Like I said, Seattle's defense and offense kind of came to play, but I think, this will be the game, even though it's early in the year, that should kind of show what he's going to be doing the rest of the year, like what he's going to pan out to be the rest of the year. If, it's another goose egg or it's just another stinker of a game, that's probably what I'm guessing we're going to get for the rest of the year. But, if he comes out and shows, he's capable and he's can play with the boy or play with the men, then I think San Francisco got a lot to be happy about, because really that's the only question mark about the team. Like I said, running back wise, they're going to find another one. They have playmakers at the wide receiver position. When Kittle gets back healthy, they'll be fine, and the defense is still as strong as ever. So, as long as he's able to answer that bell, they should be all right. But I'm going to go with San Fran as well, just because, like you said, I think Seattle does come back to earth a little bit. But Cincinnati, Dallas, I'm going to be quick with this one. I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Them boys, they look awful last week. I'm not a Dak hater because I want all my black quarterbacks to succeed, but I've never bought into the hype that like he's a top 10. He had maybe a year or two where he was in the top 10, but not anymore. There's too many good quarterbacks. And how he looked before he had Amari Cooper is kind of how he looked on Sunday. They say CD's number 1, but is he really ready for that number 1?
I didn't think he was. I personally didn't.
So I just think, I don't know, man. They could show some fight. I think they will show some fight, but this season could be down the drain really quick. And Cincinnati's not happy with how they play. Joe Burrow, he throws picks. He does throw picks because I think he was tied with Trevor Lawrence for most in the league last year. But
he was tied with Matthew Stafford.
Oh, Matthew Stafford.
I thought Trevor was up there. I think Trevor was 3rd.
Yeah, no. They were tied. They both had 17, I think. But he's not going to have another terrible game like that. The Cowboys secondary, I want to see the Diggs matchup, though, because I know everybody hypes up how we had 11 picks or 12 picks last year, but he still gave the most yards in the league, and he's going to have to guard Chase and Higgins. So good luck with that, my boy. But I'm going to go Cincinnati by 10 because Dallas is going to show some fight. But hopefully this season does go down the drain really quickly.
Yeah, I think that's where it's headed for sure. It's just it don't. Obviously, they're missing Gallup, but like you just said, I didn't think CD was primed and ready to be a number 1. Like, they had Gallup, CD, and Amari Cooper with Dallas Schultz as well. It's like that's a lot of people that are capable of making plays that you got to have attention on and you can feed the ball to. So I think that opened up a lot of things for CD quickly, and he's a rookie, so it's like, I'm gonna take my chances, trying to guard Gallup or Amari versus CD, even though he was, came in how they started. But like I said, the offense just looked just terrible all the way around. Like, they got nothing going. Obviously, Tampa Bay's defense is really good, but just to put up only 3 points and be the only team to not score a touchdown the whole week 1, like, that's embarrassing, bro. It's just there's no way around that. So obviously, with Dak not being the quarterback, was Cooper Rush. I mean, he did have a nice performance last year. For 2 games, I think. But I don't see him bringing them to a victory.
Yeah, I think real quick before you let me go in the next game, I think that they're like, all right, in the NFL, they get filmed. So that game he had last year versus Minnesota, like they're watching that for all his flaws and stuff, and they're going to try to attack that. So I think they're going to be ready for him this time. And Minnesota wasn't ready for him.
Yeah. So we're going to go with Cincy on that one for sure. Houston, Denver. I think Denver bounces back. Yeah, Denver bounces back. Russ has a better game. It's the home opener as well. I just think they look like a totally different team. Or at least they should. So Houston did show some fight last week. Like you said, was up 20, kind of sold, gave the game away. But, they're a bunch of, honestly, not a bunch of, I don't want to say a bunch of rejects, but it is a bunch of like kind of players that's kind of not thrown on a team that were good at one point and not like what Marlon Mack, I think, plays with them now, right? Kind of guys that kind of got replaced and obviously still capable of playing games and winning games. Like, just obviously a team like no one's really paying attention to whatsoever, but show some fight, show some heart. So it's very well they could do the same thing Seattle did, but I don't think traveling on the road to again like a team that does need to bounce back. I don't think it happens. Denver should take that one pretty easy.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. They were upset with how they played last week. I know they got on the plane. Well, shoot, Colorado's far, but not that far. But I think that they were, upset at themselves. They could have finished the game. 2 fumbles on the 1 yard line. That's not gonna happen again. They as bad as they played, they still outplayed Seattle and should have won the game. So Houston, it's week 1, bro. So some teams are gonna surprise you by showing up and have games being games they're not supposed to be in. And I think that was the case with Houston. They're gonna come back down to earth a little bit, and I think that Denver wins by 17. And I think their offense will look much more explosive. Wes didn't take that many downfield shots, and he's known for that. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league, in my opinion. And I think they're gonna be better offensively and start faster.
Yeah. Arizona, Las Vegas. Arizona looked like dog shit last week. I don't know what, and they showed why Kyler should have that little film study in his contract. There was a few games. I know you saw Coach JB broke down a few of the plays. Like he just did not read. He didn't read the hot coming off the edge, and just didn't just see the read whatsoever. So again playing Kansas City, another team obviously that we hold in high regards in the AFC, but it's like to put up 7 points and just look the way they look, it just wasn't good. I'm gonna take Vegas again. I'm gonna take Vegas this week. They lost the game they probably should have won as well. Versus the Chargers. They looked kind of just mediocre at times, but I think there's another team that needs to bounce back and get them a win at home. So I'm gonna go Vegas.
Yeah, I hate we're on the same page, but we might differ for one of the Monday night games. But I'm going Vegas too. Arizona just looked terrible on defense, man. They couldn't stop anybody. I thought they were just a little bit better than that. Without D-Hop, they struggled a little bit. Collar struggled a little bit, what you were talking about. Maybe teams have a slight little book out on him. I know his athleticism gets him out of trouble sometimes, but you got Max Crosby and Chandler Jones coming at your neck. So you're going to have to get the ball out on time. It's going to be a good game, though. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend. I could see this being like they both put up 30.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Vegas, man. Derek Carr had a rough game last week. He played okay at times, but he turned the ball over when he had some costly turnovers that put them out of the game. And I don't know who's gonna guard Devontae. I know they got your boy Marco Wilson over there and Byron Murphy at corner, but it's Devontae Adams. This is the best receiver in the league, so he's going to get busy again. Waller's going to get busy again because Travis Kelce gave Isaiah Simmons a long day, and I think he's going to have another long day. So I'm going to go with the Raiders by the nail biter. I'm going to go like 37-34, something like that.
Yeah. We had a lot of differences in the beginning, so we've agreed on the last few, but it's whatever. Chicago, Green Bay, that could be a pretty good game. I'm going to go Green Bay, though. I'm going to put my faith in Aaron Rodgers and he figures it out and figures it out with that receiving core, and the defense, doesn't have as. I mean, they didn't really slouch that game, like you said. Minnesota should have put up a lot more points, so they kind of held them as much as they could. But I just think overall that it's a Sunday night game, Lambeau. Obviously, you're playing your rival Chicago. I think it's bright lights and it's time for them to play the game. They know they can play, and they should go in there and handle business. I think Chicago does make it interesting. Justin Fields looked okay last week, or pretty good last week. In the weather conditions, at least the last 20-some minutes of the game, mid third quarter on. So I think Green Bay should pull it out, but I think it'll be an interesting game. I think it'll be back and forth for the most part.
Yeah, I'm a little. Well, I don't think we're on the same page on this one. I obviously have Green Bay winning, but I just think A-Rod's so pissed off with what happened last week that they're going to come out on fire and they might blow the Bears out. I think some people are overhyping the Bears last week. Like, I think if they're playing perfect conditions, they lose that game. But hey, man, you have to play no matter what the weather is, unless it's lightning. So it is what it is. But I think Green Bay's going to bounce back big time. And then Rodgers, one thing I don't like. Well, I will say it last, but he's going to get on the same page with some of his rookie receivers. They're going to have a better game, but I just think in the media, I know how he is. He's a different type of quarterback. That's why some people don't like him. But you can't go out there in the media and talk about, they have to play better. They have to. He came out and said we had a lot of drops, missed routes, stuff like that. You just like those young guys. You got to uplift them. I understand. You're A-Rod. You're going to Hall of Fame. You're 2 or 3 time MVP, Super Bowl winner, all that good stuff. But you got to be a little bit of a better leader. You got to uplift those guys and let them know that you're confident in them. Don't get in front of the media and put all the blame on them. You could have played better too. I know the line wasn't good. You had some drop passes, but you got to be a better leader overall. But with all that being said, he's going to have one of those games on Sunday. He likes playing on Sunday night. So
exactly. The only reason I think like the Bears. I think I'm like more so believing in Justin Fields. Like I saw like a lot of decisions and throws that he was making last week. Like you said, it wasn't rougher conditions. Maybe if he's able to do that in rougher conditions, I'm hoping he's able to do that in not as harsh conditions. So I'm thinking like he is kind of the catalyst that will help him kind of make the game a little bit closer than what we're expecting or what we are used to with them. But like you said, still taking Green Bay to win the game. Tennessee, Buffalo. It's easy one for me. I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah. Go ahead. You that's all you had to say?
Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, Walker.
This was easy. I love it. Tennessee's about to get smacked. I just don't know where they go, man. On offense, you can only do so much when I know you had Derrick Henry, but at times you had A.J. Brown and Julio on the outside. So they can literally play zero coverage the entire Robert Woods is good, but he's coming off ACL. Burks might be good in the future, but he's not ready right now. And Buffalo look complete, man, offense and defense. And they didn't even play their best game. Like, the game was tied 10-10 at half, and I thought they should have been up 10 or 14. So,
yeah,
I think Buffalo puts it on them. Like, I know at the beginning of the season when they made the schedule it looked good, but after the A.J. Brown trade and all that stuff, it's not looking too good. I got Buffalo by at least 4.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a slacking. And that Bills defense looks, we knew they were good, but adding Vaughn with that pass rush, the 2 inside guys are doing pretty good in the run game as well, or look pretty good in the run game as well. And obviously, the secondary, and they don't even got Tre'Davious White back yet. That secondary, with Poirier and Hyde, it's just going to be tough all the way around. And Tennessee, you don't really got many people to throw the ball to anyway. You got Woods and Hooper. Those are 2 main pass. Oh, obviously they got a first round pick, Treylon Burks. But I don't know. I don't see him scoring, like you said, more than maybe 10 points, if that. I think Ryan Tannehill has, they give him hell. And obviously that defense hasn't improved much for the last few years. Don't think they're going to be able to stop, a runny nose on Monday night. So I'm going to go with Buffalo. Like you said, it's probably going to be an ugly one quick. Finish it off, Minnesota, Philly. This one's a tough one. It's a toss-up. I battled with this one for a minute, but I went with Minnesota. I'm going to ride them this week as well. Once they disappoint me this week, though, I'm probably not picking them many more times. So I know they was burning me a lot last year, but I'm going to pick them this year. I think it's going to be a really, really good game, though. That's the Monday night game. Obviously, I think most of all of it's going to be tuned into. But, again, 2 teams, in my opinion, outside of quarterback, are similarly built in a sense. They got a lot of playmakers on the opposite side of the ball. They both got solid backs. Obviously, Dalvin's probably a little bit better when get healthy over Miles Sanders. But they got similar style backs. similar receivers that can make big plays. They got stouts on the defensive end, the front sevens. Obviously, I think Eagles secondary probably a little bit better, but similarly built teams in my opinion. Teams that can take care of Jalen Hurts, take care of the ball. Cousins take care of the ball. It can be a shootout, and I think it could be a high scoring game as well. I'm gonna go with Minnesota. I think they shock on the road, and go to 2-0.
Yeah, we're on the opposite sides for this one, but I agree with everything you said. Like these teams should be playing a little late. At least Philly make it to divisional round. Two top. On paper, Philly, they have to show me a little more, but two of the top teams in the NFC, in my opinion. This is going to be a great game. Like you said, everybody's going to be watching, but I'm going with Philly. Minnesota's still my team to make it to the NFC Championship, but, you can have one of those rough games, and I think this is one of them. Philly has expectation. The fans will be going crazy. That defense is very good. Not saying anybody can guard Justin Jefferson, but people that watch ball know that Darius Slay is one of the best man corners, like press man corners in the league, so that's something he specializes in, and I just think that he's gonna. I think they're gonna find a way to pressure Kurt, stop the run game, and just force him into one of those rough games. And Philly, they run the ball. They're a very balanced team, and then you got AJ Brown and the second year Minnesota saw last. The Packers receiver core that Minnesota saw last week isn't AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert too. So, I think Hurts is gonna hurt them with his legs and his arm, and I think Philly finds a way to pull it out in the nail biter. I say like. If I had to pick a score, I would say I want to say high score, but I feel like these teams play defense.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 27-24 Philly to close out. And I like this little Monday night format with two games, but I just would have picked a little bit of a better game. But I know I'm pretty sure they thought Tennessee was gonna be good, so I see why they did it. But yeah, I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, they not. Is this like? Because I know they do it like once or twice a year.
I don't know. I didn't look into it. I think they might do it a couple more times. I was gonna look at it while we were doing the show, but I couldn't do it. So but yeah,
I think they do it now too. I know like towards like Christmas time, wherever they be doing it, doing it like that. So hopefully, like I said, I like it as well. Like I said, it just gives people kind of two things to look into because football season it's tough sometimes just watching one game, especially if it's just not an interesting game whatsoever. But like I said, after week 1 and even started week 2 last night, I think we're in for a good year, and hopefully, like I said, just some good games and good matchups, and another good week of football as well. Sum it all up. I'm gonna sum it up in tweets. We did take a minute, going through these, but it's our first show back, first week back. We got to. So I know I went with Cleveland, Washington, Tampa, Giants, Pittsburgh, Indy, Baltimore, Rams, San Fran, Cincy, Denver, Vegas, Green Bay, Buffalo, and then Minnesota. So I think and then who'd you go with?
I went with Cleveland, Detroit, New Orleans, the Giants, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Miami, LA, San Fran, Cincy, Denver. I went with the Raiders, Green Bay, Buffalo, and Philly. So mainly home teams except for the Dolphins.
A lot of them.
And Cincinnati.
Yeah. So most of our differences were towards the top of the sheet. I think we have at least 4 to 5, 3 to 4, about 3 to 5, somewhere there, 3 to 5 differences. But like I said, we'll sum it up all later in the tweet. But next, to kind of finish out, we're going to move on, do a few more things, got a few more things. So, it kind of goes with what we were talking about. We'd be quick on it, but just like some of the teams that, like, who do you think bounces back, whether it's a player or a team, just like, who do you think bounces back this week 10?
I'm going to go one player and one team. Give me a second. I would say, all right, for team that I said is going to bounce back, I'm going to say Green Bay. They had a rough week 1. They pretty much got smacked 7-23. It was never really close. They just got dominated on both sides of the ball. Couldn't cover Jefferson, couldn't protect the quarterback. So just a rough outing overall. And for the player that's going to bounce back, Allen Robinson. I picked him up in both my fantasy leagues. I expected him to be like a breakout guy because he's the best quarterback he's ever had. He had Blake Bortles, he had Trubisky, and Justin Fields, and then he went from that to Matt Stafford. So
yeah,
he's gonna break out, man. He only had one target. I can't believe they didn't. And McVay's an offensive.
They didn't feed him more, yeah.
How did he not find more ways to give him the ball? Is a question I'm still trying to figure out, but. Yeah, man. I think he bounces back. Like Cup guard. He lines up everywhere, so I'm not gonna say that Terrell's gonna travel with him because I don't think he travels to the slot. He might sometimes, but you gotta pick your poison.
Yeah,
He's a number 2 cornerback's gonna be on A-Rob. So, and I know like after Sean McVay says something, I know it's gonna be a priority to get him the ball. So. A-Rob's my guy. He's gonna bounce back. I can see him having like a 10-catch, 130-yard game, a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the other Ram, Stafford. I mean, that goes hand in hand, so I think both of them probably will have bounce back games. But yeah, I guess there's nowhere else but up after throwing 4 picks on opening night. So Matthew Stafford, I think, should probably have a field day, with our defense, more than likely. So I think he definitely bounces back. Team wise. We already talked about. I think I already said all the ones I feel like was going to bounce back. When I was talking about my picks for the week, but Denver is definitely the one I feel like should bounce back the biggest out of all the ones that have a chance to bounce back. Just Russ as a whole, and like I said, just kind of honing on that offense, taking control, and they just got to play better as a unit. They should smack Houston. Like honestly, it shouldn't be no less than like a 14 to 21 point game. Like they should definitely win by that much or more. But we'll see. But those are my two. Team. That's the team. I feel like Denver has to bounce back out of all the ones that we talked about. I feel like they have to bounce back out. Because they're in a division where they can get left quick. They can get left super quick. So I guess Raiders, in a sense, they kind of got to bounce back as well. But Denver, they can get left super quick, and if they don't, and like you just said, they paid him what $250-something million, like 2 days before the kickoff. So you're stuck with him. Like, if Russ continues to play bad or just doesn't play up to hype, it's like it may be a hard contract to move. Obviously, quarterbacks are a necessity. So maybe, do you find a suitor, but that's your quarterback of the future. And like I said, you're in the division where you can get left quick. So you got to bounce back. You got to win that game. And then Matthew Stafford, that's just a game. I feel like that's just going to happen in general. But moving on, I'm going to hit on Dad's top 10. Like, so Dad did top 10 for each position. Coming into the year, and obviously I agree with a lot of the picks. Obviously, so we can kind of talk about them, go through them, just thoughts about what you were thinking. But let's start with the offense first. I got quarterbacks going first. So top 10, number 1 was Aaron. I actually had somebody, so I posted it on Instagram, and then somebody was like, "In what world is Aaron better than Patty Mahomes and Josh Allen right now?"
I'll talk on them real quick. Like just scan through it. I'm not talking about every single person, but I'll put Aaron number 1 because this was going into the season. He's back-to-back MVP. I don't know if there's much to dispute. I know Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are upcoming quarterbacks. They're very good. I think Mahomes is really the best, but you can't put him in front of somebody that won the MVP the last 2 years. Mahomes has more weapons, all that, even though he had Devontae. But I know Brady at 4 might make some people mad, but he's not better than those 3 at this point. Matt Stafford is only in front of Herbert. I think Herbert's a better quarterback, but Stafford won a ring and he had a very good season. So that's that. And I know people might question me putting Herbert in front of Burrow, but I think Herbert's a better quarterback. He just didn't have the same roster, the same coaching, all that stuff. But that's round out the top 10. I know, and then the last controversial thing, Russ is 8. He fell off a little bit, but he's still top 10. And Kyler being in front of Lamar, I just think he's a better quarterback. Lamar's a better athlete a little bit in a way, like with his running ability, but Kyler is not that far behind him. He's not as explosive, but he can be sometimes. Kyler is very quick. He's a better thrower of the ball. He's more accurate, and he has the same type of legs. Lamar just a little bit of a better runner. So that's why I put him in front of them. They both haven't done too well in the playoffs. So, yeah, that's it. That's that for quarterbacks.
So next, we got Dad's top running backs.
Yeah, running backs, going to keep it real quick. Henry leading the way. He would have had another 1,000-yard season if he didn't get hurt. Jonathan Taylor obviously is on his neck. He was an easy number 2. But after that, it was a little tough, Chubb, I wanted to put Cook in front of Chubb, but Chubb's had a couple more better years. AK is AK. Joe Mixon, AK will bounce back this year. He didn't have his best year last year. Joe Mixon is a solid running back. Najee Harris did good with all the touches he had last year with no real good run game blocking. Eckler, man, he had a 20-touchdown season, so it's kind of hard to keep him off the list. He made a lot of plays. Aaron Jones has been pretty consistent for some years, even while splitting carries, and I had to throw a little DeAndre Swift on there, man. He's a sleeper, bro. He just plays in Detroit, so not a lot of people know about him, but he's a very solid running back. And like I said earlier in the show, he's poised to have a breakout year in. So, yeah, that's it for running backs. And it wasn't really that – it was hard, but I wasn't going to put Zeke in my top 10. Wasn't going to do it. Receivers, real quick. Devontae, obviously, number one. Some people want to cut, but I know he got the Triple Crown, but at the end of the day, Devontae is a better receiver. Like, I get it. Cup broke all these records, but as a quarterback, I'd rather have Devontae than the Cup. Like, you're not going to put Cup out there one-on-one every play and win every time. He might win in the slot, but he's not gonna win on the back shoulder of the fade bar every time.
Outside,
yeah. This might be a little questionable, but I think Jefferson's better than Chase, even though Chase was better in college. But as a pro, I think Jefferson's a better quarterback. Better receiver. Diggs right behind him at 5. Tyreek Hill, man, it's hard to like. If we're talking about weapons, like he's top 5, but as a pure receiver, he's very fast. He can run good routes. Very fast football player, but as a receiver, I don't think he's better than you guys. Like after the catch, there's no debate. If it was Rack, he's number 1, but I put him there. Mike Evans, Mr. Consistent, 1,000 yards every season. Keenan, I think he's coming off a 100-catch season last year, the year before last. Solid receiver with him. He just has to stay healthy. Debo, some people think he should be higher maybe, but as a receiver, he's 9. I'm not counting him getting handoffs and taking them for 50 yards. As a playmaker, he's up there. He'd be higher in the top 10. But yeah. And then A.J. Brown, very solid receiver. I put him in front of DK. DK had an off year, but I think A.J. Brown's a little bit better receiver as a route runner in general. So those are my 10.
Yeah, I like it. I like that 10.
Oh, shit. I didn't even see that. My fault. Tight ends. This is one of the first ones I posted. We're only going to talk about the top ones. Kelsey, obviously, number 1. 4 was tough, though. Kittle hasn't been how he was since his rookie year, but he's more – it's the scheme he's playing in. He's more of a blocking guy, but when utilized, he's number 2. Mark Andrews with the breakout year. He's coming too, man. And Lamar loves his tight end, so I only see his role increasing, even though they got Isaiah Likely from Coastal. Waller had a little bit of an off year being hurt, but he's still top 4 in Pitts. I had to respect the OGs. Those guys up above him been doing it for a little bit longer. And I know what Pitts is going to be, but as of right now, I can't put him above 5. But the rest of the guys are all solid receivers. Dalton Schultz had a breakout year. Hawkinson's always been good. Gesicki is more like, if he was 20 pounds lighter, he'd be playing receiver because he's lining up in the slot outside.
Yeah, he's pretty small.
Yeah,
honestly, I hope they move off of him. I hope he goes. I don't know where he goes because I have him on the fantasy team as well, but he's not going to give many targets.
Yeah. But yeah, the rest of those are what they are. Hunter Henry's solid too, and Goddard is solid. So yeah, those are the tight ends for me.
We're gonna go ahead and move on to the defensive side.
Yeah, we're gonna try to speed it up a little bit. Obviously, number 1 is T.J. Watt after Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett is right behind him. They're 1A and 1B to me, honestly. I know Watt won Defensive Player of the Year, but they're both neck and neck. The Bosa brothers are as good as it gets. Crosby had a breakout season this year. Hendrickson had a breakout season. Well, he had a good season with the Saints, but he followed it up with a really good year with the Bengals, especially in the playoff. Brian Burns, he hasn't had 10 sacks yet, but there's a lot of flash there, man. He's made a lot of plays, a very athletic DN. And I think the biggest thing with him is just finishing right now. He needs to finish. He's back there all the time. He just needs to bring the quarterback down, which is tough to do sometimes. Talked about Hendrickson. Mac looked like he's back and ready to go. I had to keep him in the top 10 because what he did in the past. It wasn't what he did his first year in Chicago, but he was still solid enough to not fall out of the top 10. And when you really look at it, there's not that many great defensive ends in the league. But Von Miller showed flashes, and remember, this is last season, so this is based off week 1. He might be top 5. But Von Miller's on there and following out. Chandler Jones, man, he almost fell out the top 10, though. That week 1 against the Titans, he had like 4 or 5 sacks. And then over the next 16 games, he only had like 4 total. So that's why he's at 10, but he had to stay in the top 10. But those are the DNs for me.
Yeah. Linebackers,
man. This was a hard one. It's a lot of good linebackers in the league. Like, I didn't know how to play some of these guys. Like, I could have put Warner 1 or Darius Leonard. Those are the top 2 for me, but I put Darius Leonard because he does everything. I know Warner's a middle linebacker, backer, but Darius Leonard does everything, and he forces a lot of turnovers. So he's up there. Parsons, everybody knows what he is. I had to show respect to the OGs again, but what he showed in year one, it's going to be scary. Roquan Smith is a sideline to sideline. He's literally the definition of a middle linebacker, along with Kendricks, been doing it for a while. Devin White is 6. What he does at his size is kind of crazy. People don't know that he's not even 6 foot. And he's barely over 220. So
that is crazy.
Plays like a grown man. Sideline to sideline, very athletic, can cover running backs and tight ends. Demario Davis, old head, man, been doing it for a long time, but very consistent. And playing against the Saints, he's all over the field. He's a very, very good linebacker. So he had to go in there. Bobby Wagner, only reason why he's down here is because he fell off a little bit. But if this was the year before last, he'd be in the top 5 because I think he 6 or 7 straight years of first-team All-Pro before last year. So got to show respect to him. And Devondre Campbell, he had a great breakout season with the Packers last year. Late bloomer, but, hey, it is what it is. But based off last year, he balled. And Levante David, Mr. Consistent.
Yeah.
So that's it for the linebackers.
We got safeties and corners.
This was tough. I know some people thought Byard is the number 1, but Derwin James, that's a grown man, as y'all saw yesterday, what he did to Kelsey. But he's the most complete safety and maybe most complete defensive player in the league. Can cover anybody. Receivers, tight ends, running backs, slots. It does it all. Byard's great as well. Atlanta's finest. Mays High School. Simmons pretty solid. I think he's overlooked. Like, people don't know how good he really is. But Minka, true definition of like the quarterback of the defense. He does everything. Calls signals. He's just everywhere. He'll come down to tackle you. He'll come down to pick it off. He makes plays just regardless. And Buda Baker, the biggest hit in safety, like, he reminds me of. Obviously, he's not the same player, but you know how we played with Sam in high school. Like, he's not afraid to do anything. Bro's like 5'9", 200, but plays like he's 20. You got the Buffalo safeties. They were first and second team All-Pro, best safety tandem in the league. Jesse Bates had an offseason, but showed up in the playoffs, and so he's been pretty good. And then Winfield and Diggs, ever since he came over from Detroit, has been pretty good. He's had 5 picks in the last 2 years. Pretty solid player. And then Winfield is a solid safety, young safety as well.
Yeah.
So that's rounding up.
Finish off, we got a top 10.
Yeah, and finishing up the top 10, man, we got corners. This was a tough one too, man, because it's a lot of good DBs in this league. When I was going through the list and trying to find the top 10, I left some people off that can ball. But Jalen's number 1. Xavier, he's one of the best man corners out there. Had a couple 7-8 pick seasons. So he's up there for me. Jair, he got hurt, so he wasn't fully, he didn't get to show everybody what he can do, but he's been a very good young corner. J.C. Jackson, I think we've already talked about him before. He pick machine. Always knows how to find the ball. Play really well in Belichick's system. Lattimore, he slept on, as you know. He's been good ever since he got in the league his rookie year. Like, maybe he's not catching 7 or 8 picks, but he's locking up. He's taking away one side of the field for the most part of the game, and is a solid, consistent player. I look for consistency in this stuff. And he has Mike Evans' number, who is, I don't know how, but he has it every time they match up. And then Diggs, 11 picks, gets beat a lot, but makes plays on the ball, athlete, receiver playing DB, so it makes sense why he has good hands. And Denzel Ward, solid since he's gotten the league. AJ Terrell could be higher by the end of this year because he was a breakout player. Anybody that watched the Natty didn't think were surprised when the Falcons picked him. First year was okay, up and down, but second year he really showed that he belongs in the league as one of the top corners. So I had to show him love. Humphrey's falling off a little bit, but he's still good. Had a rough year, especially against Jamar Chase. And following up Tre'Davious White. Towards ACL on Thanksgiving, but everybody knows he's a top 10 corner. Can't wait to see what he does when he gets back. But a great zone corner that's very smart and very instinctive on the ball. So those are my top 10, man. It took a little bit of time to get these lists together. Sorry about that, Jelani, but these are my thoughts, man. And it was I enjoyed it. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, not for sure. So probably, obviously going into next year as well. But like I've been saying, it's going to be interesting to see if these guys still there in this top 10 or if they get, booted out, bounced out by some other guys, like you said, that break out on the scene at the end of the year. So it's going to be interesting to go back and see if these guys, played up to their positioning or if they move around a little bit within the top 10 or somebody else just comes out of the woodworks and kind of replaces them. Because like you said, there is a lot of guys, that could have very well been on this list or could be on this list by the end of the year. But for the most part, pretty much all through and through for each position. I agree. Like I said, I hope to see my guy AJ Terrell climb the board a little bit. It's a possibility he may.
It's like, bro, real quick before you keep going, like he's 8, but like all those corners above him, like they all can go. It's a lot of good corners, so it's just tough.
It's a lot. Yeah, like you said, it's just like it's some guys out there. Like you said, they probably very well can be on that list. Like you said, it's gonna be some guys that it's like, oh wow, yeah, they showing out this year. That's gonna pop up. But like you said, definitely was a joy even like making the list, looking at the list, going through it, just kind of comparing like some guys that's on it and not on it. So yeah, definitely appreciate the work you put into it. Like you said, I like it. Like I said, we're gonna see what it's like at the end of the year as well. But kind of have to round out the show. We're gonna hit on something that just maybe something that grinded our gears this past week. This week obviously we did mainly NFL. Throughout the year, we're probably gonna hit on college and NFL. We'll probably do stuff like certain maybe Sunday mornings or Fridays, whatever the case may be. I know last year we used to do kind of like Saturday to Sunday, talk about Saturday days and then go into Sunday with the thoughts that we may have. But this week mainly just NFL. So anything even NFL, it could be any news. Honestly, we talk sports in general. Anything that might grind your gears this week?
Yeah, since it's football season, I'm gonna keep it NFL for now. What grinds my gears? I guess it's because I play the position. But, like, just the quarterback thing, I understand they touch the ball every play. They're the leader of the team. Everybody gives the quarterback praise when they win, and when they lose, they get the most, blame. But just, like, let these young quarterbacks breathe, bro. Like, all right, going from Mahomes, everybody, like, overreacting to Tyreek Hill being going like, oh, he's going to fall off a cliff. He was only good because he had them, blah, blah, blah. And he's obviously showing you that's not the case. He's a good quarterback overall. And then just people not giving these rookie quarterbacks a chance. Like, on some of these sports shows, they're talking about Trey Lance should be replaced by week 4. Like, when are we going to give – I know it was a big investment, 3 first-round picks, blah, 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 but you got to give these quarterbacks sometimes time to grow. In my opinion, a quarterback should get 2 full years, and then going into year 3, midway through, you should know what the quarterback is. This man has started 2 or 3 games, and they're already talking about bitching him, and then he played in the monsoon. Like, everybody needs time to develop. Some of these great receivers, Devontae Adams, who else am I thinking of? It was somebody else I was thinking of, but like Devontae Adams only had like 300 yards his rookie year. And he wasn't the best receiver in the league until 2 or 3 years ago, and he's 31. Like, can you relax and let these people grow into the player they're going to be? Some people hit the scene running, like the LSU receivers. They just came in the league and said, oh, this is easy. But everybody's not like that. So Trey Lance, I feel like, needs a longer leash. And even though Trevor Lawrence is my quarterback, like, if Trey Lance played like that last year, he would be getting slandered talking about bench him. But everybody loves Trevor, so they give him a release. I'm okay with that. I think he should have some time to grow, and he's getting better. But these people are too harsh on quarterbacks. I get it, but I don't. Like, you don't understand how hard it is to play the position and how long it takes to develop sometimes. Everybody's a late bloomer. And he played FCS for 1. He only started 17 total games in college. So he still needs time to grow, and you can only get better by game experience. I know mental reps are good, but the only way to really, really get better is by playing. So
I feel that.
All back to quarterbacks, people. That's all I got to say. All my young quarterbacks, give them time to grow. If it's a 6-year vet, you know what they are by now. You can slander them, but give people time. So, yeah, that grinds it pisses me off because first off, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but some of these people don't know anything about the position. They just expect you to come out and throw for 400 yards every game. Like, Mahomes really messed it up for some quarterbacks. Sitting for a year and then coming out and winning MVP. Like, that's not how it works, bro. Aaron Rodgers, first year, he went like 4-12. He wasn't setting the world on fire. So just pipe down, people.
Yeah, for sure. That's facts, 100% across the board. 100% facts. Like you said, you just gotta let people grow into what the player they're going to be. But it's part of our society. Probably everything just be wanting to be so instant. Everybody wants things to be so instant and happen like immediately. You in the NFL, you just supposed to be good. Like, that's not how it works, bro. Like, these the best of the best. Like, it's the reason why, like, there's certain people of certain stature, certain people get paid certain money. There's a Hall of Fame for a reason. Like, all those different things. Like, everybody don't just come in being world beaters, like you said. So definitely feel that 100%. What grinds my gears is I just gotta make it Falcons related. It can go for a lot of different coaches, but what grinds my gears is just being up and then just going flat. Like, just be aggressive. Why do you? I guess what I'm saying is, why do people do the opposite of what got them to where they are and what they're doing? What's the purpose? What was your purpose? Like, if you were being aggressive and making certain play calls to be up 16-10, whatever the case may be, or put your team in the winning position, why do something different than that? If that's what got you to be there. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And it just happens time and time again. People don't learn their lesson. And then another thing that grinds my gears, not taking accountability. There's plenty of coaches, players this week that didn't take any type of accountability. Like I said, Atlanta Falcons, you said it earlier, Aaron Rodgers wasn't taking accountability. Like, that's partially on you. Like you said, if he was one type of quarterbacks that you knew the receiver core you was going to go into this year, you wasn't going to have your veterans like Devontae Adams, like you said, Randall Cobb isn't really what he was, a few years back when he did have him his first time around. Like, you have Sammy Watkins, who's a solid, I guess, veteran, but he's hurt a lot. Like, if you were the type of quarterback, like you said, to take some type of team out or get your guys together and create that bond and just get in the lab together. Like, maybe week one would have been a little bit different. Maybe it would have been drop balls. Maybe they wouldn't have been as nervous. Maybe it wouldn't have been not running the right routes or not running crisp routes. You knew what you were coming into this year, so you didn't prepare. Like, you can't just put the excuse on everybody else but yourself. But I know if Jeff was on here, he'd probably go on a whole nother rant about that. Aaron Rodgers. But same thing with Arthur Smith. Like, you can't just, and I know that I didn't get super mad about it, but I understand why the media people in Atlanta were mad about what he was doing and saying, just saying like, oh, you guys are just gonna write us off. He didn't really talk about the mistakes that they made to lose that game. Like, y'all started playing conservative, guys started turning the ball over, and defense started to slack up. Like, you were starting to make non-aggressive calls that got you to where you were, where you were at that point in the game when you were up 16. Like, and then just take no accountability for the loss at the end. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, that's what grinds my gears. People just doing the opposite of what got them to the success that they had, and then not taking responsibility for when they fall short. Makes no sense to me.
Accountability, bro. I agree with everything you said, especially the accountability part. These are grown men. So yeah, I agree with 100%. And
hopefully we see something different this week from both.
The A-Rod thing, I don't even want to talk about it, bro.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but like I said, I have hope in him that he just bounces back as a whole. He has to be a better teammate for sure. But I think he figures it out, for the team. They kind of rally around him. They'll be better for it this week. But that was the first show back. Week one, thoughts and everything that comes with it. Week two, we'll see how we do in the pickers and everything this upcoming week. We'll see when we get that next show in. Probably might be earlier than what y'all expect, because I think I'm going to New York, so I don't know if we're gonna still do something for week three. But we'll probably talk about week two a little bit earlier. Regardless, y'all know y'all gonna see us and catch us pretty much every week from here on out. It's football season. Football season's back. College, NFL, all those good things. And even NBA will be around the corner a little bit. So we're back in the thick of things sports wise. And it's not a better time of the year. I couldn't think of a better time of the year, but definitely enjoy the night talking about, week one, what's to come in week two, everything that entails, just the NFL as a whole, Dad's top 10s. We're going to come back with some more segments. Obviously, our Bench'em, game balls, who sold, bunch of other things coming on the way. Shout out to Off the Ball Network, and definitely want to make sure we plug in now and in the coming weeks our sponsors. So everybody check out Sleeves, and also check out Bet USA or BetUS.PA as well. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Dad, any last words before we head off?
Yeah, not too much. Glad to be back. Love, I say it all the time, NFL over college. But I love football in general. This is the best time of the year for me, even when holidays come up. But can't wait to be back on the show every week. Like Jelani said, we're going to be back every week. We don't have a confirmed date, but you'll see us once a week. And check out Off the Ball for, all your sports needs. And just can't wait to tackle this season and get to it. And hopefully our teams do better so we enjoy doing the show, but it's better when our teams are winning. We come in feeling
for sure.
Just looking forward to this year. Yeah, just looking forward to this year and all the content we're going to put out. So thank you to everybody that listens and continue following with us. That's all I got.
Yeah, for sure. like you said, and then make sure take it off real quick, but make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at What the Game Means to Me, Twitter WTGM MTM podcast, and What the Game Means to Me on Facebook as well. I also have a little TikTok page. I don't think I have it on here, but it's at What the Game Means to Me as well. Gonna start posting a lot more over there too. Just try to be consistent all the way around. But again, yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll probably put out maybe some award predictions that that we have for certain guys coming up this year as well. So just stay on, look out for that. And like that I said, definitely check out Off the Ball Network for all your sports needs. I know Mo and Walker just did a Friday Night Lights show earlier about college football. I know Dad's team is actually playing right now. I got to figure out if they're winning or not. About to tune in to that once we get off.
I'm not watching anymore.
I'm
gonna watch it. I know what it is.
Travis Jordan. Or Jordan Travis, I said his name wrong. Yeah, I must have said his name backwards. But well, hopefully I'll end up pulling out the win. But even if not, we'll catch you guys next time. Like I said, we'll figure out if that team won next time or not. And hopefully, like I said, it's a good week of football. Everybody enjoy. This Sunday and everything coming up. We'll see you guys next week, and catch you next time. Have a good one.
I don't know why I did that, but